Welcome to the council and welcome to Earth Day. It's a special day for me, and that I have a son that has a birthday today, but I'd just like to remind you that back in 1970, on the very first Earth Day, that the Dexter schools provided a forum for Pinckney, Chelsea schools to come to Dexter, and we had a presentation by Marvin Ish, who was our state rep at that time, and we also had a musician, and we had a special guest, Arthur Godfrey. Some of you will probably not remember that name, but some of us older people will, and he was there in Dexter that day, and it was a special day. A lot of activities in Ann Arbor as well, so being in part of that planning of that whole thing in Ann Arbor, I go back to those days, and I've always relished Earth Days. So thank you very much. We'll have the roll call now, please.
Councilmember Bell?
Here.
Councilmember Fisher?
Yes.
Councilmember Knight?
Here.
Councilmember Michelle?
Present.
Councilmember Smith?
Here.
Mayor Keough is absent at present this time. Mayor Pro Tem Cousins?
Here. Thank you. Have a motion for the approval of the minutes, please, either one or both of April the 8th.
I'll move both sets of minutes.
Moved by Smith,
Second.
Okay.
second by Julie. You heard that name first?
Before we vote, I'd like to add to my motion. I would like to see, along with the minutes, the two letters that the fireman read at the last meeting. And I know the first gentleman had asked for it to be read into the record.
Yeah, and we'll attach it to them.
Yeah,
They are, I think they're with you.
Right, they're with the
They're
minutes.
online with the minutes.
I didn't find any.
Yeah, well, that's,
They're with the packet online right now.
Packet.
They'll be with the minutes. We haven't posted the minutes.
yeah.
Because I looked back at the packet for the previous meeting.
I thought he posted it as a separate icon next to the packet. Well, I don't.
That was your sign.
Okay.
But just want to make sure they get included with the minutes then.
So Mr. Smith's request is already taken care of, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, it will be, yeah.
Thank you.
And I have some edits.
All right. Please indicate the page number.
So, say the page 5 under I reports, under number 1, under Dan's report, the second bullet where it says the water tower was taken down on April 1st. I think it should be either offline or out of service. I noticed in Dan's report he referred to it as out of service. Because it sounds kind of strange when you read it, it says water tower was taken down.
Sounds like our road.
And then at the top of page 6, just got some extra word in here where it talks about the pedestrian safety information be included along with the water bill mailing. Should either be along with or just within, not along within.
Okay, so take the word again out. Are we okay now for you?
Her mouth's been looking fine.
That's all I think.
Any other corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? I guess we got all going that way, okay. Next, prearranged participation, there's none that we have at this point in time. Approval of the agenda. May I have a motion for the agenda, approval of the agenda? Second. Bill? Okay, I think I've got it over here. Okay. Any additions to the agenda? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Public hearings, we have no public hearings at this time, and now we're at G, and that's non-arranged participation. Anybody that would like to speak, you have 5 minutes. Anybody in the audience, citizens or not, would be willing to speak? Will you speak?
That's per person, not 5 minutes total.
Let's have 5 minutes to hold down.
Good evening, my name is John Sharp, 5327 Webster Church Road. I'm a trustee at Webster Township. I believe on your agenda tonight you have a topic which is to discuss possible participation at the Fire Station Design Conference in Chicago. Is that correct?
Correct.
I just thought I'd come and share with you what I've learned in my experience, and maybe that can help you in your deliberations this evening. I made my own decision to attend that very same conference when it was in Fort Worth, and I have to say that it was a really excellent experience for me personally, that I benefited individually, but that my township has benefited substantially as well because of my participation. I would strongly recommend that you consider having someone attend to represent you. I attended alone, alone meaning nobody else from Webster Township came, which was fine. One of the handicaps of that is that there are concurrent sessions, and one person cannot attend 2 sessions that are at the same time. So there could be an advantage of having 2 people attend. Not a big handicap, but it could be an advantage. I also paid extra for the one-on-one conference, which I think if you don't do that, you might as well not go. It cost me $50. I think now if you register it's $60. You get 1 hour with a professional. The professional that I ended up sitting with, I sat there with the drawings that we had of the station as it existed on paper at that time. The man that I drew, and it's sort of a lottery, there are several people there, he personally was involved in the design of more than 200 fire stations, absolutely knows all of the codes, understands the practical operation of a fire department, understands the size and types of equipment that are used in fire stations. The value that we extracted from that 1 hour consultation was worth all of the expense of going to the conference by itself alone. I proposed to my board that we hire that architect as our architect for our project because coincidentally, the architect that we had retired. My board did not approve that recommendation, but they did approve hiring that architect as a consultant to our architect. So you can, in fact, hire an expert fire station architect or public safety building architect as a consultant, which is what we've done, and it has improved the quality of our design dramatically. Our original design took no consideration for the modern concerns about cancer mitigation, for example. One of the leading causes of death of firefighters is cancer, and most of them die after they're not firefighters anymore. But breast cancer and testicular cancer are particularly prevalent. And I have recently visited a fire station in our community where you have a workout center which is in what is known as the hot zone. And in fact, when you have a fire station where you're putting your firefighters at risk because they're doing things in the hot zone that they shouldn't be doing in the hot zone, you can find yourself in trouble for that. And there have been lawsuits about that. One of the things I'll say, there were hundreds of people at this conference. The vast majority of the attendees were either fire chiefs or firefighters. I was one of the few municipal elected officials that was in attendance. It may make sense, if it's possible, to include a firefighter from our fire department or the chief himself. I don't know if that's a possibility or not, but it would add an element that we did not benefit from. So that's all I had to say about that. I did make a copy of the architect's card that we hired as our specialist expertise. I'll leave that with you. On another topic, I looked at your packet. There's a slide which is titled page 11 from Partners in Architecture. And it's a response time map. And it's the response time map from the address in Webster Township. And I wanted to express that I believe that that map is very misleading because that response time map is based on the assumption that you have an apparatus and a firefighter leaving that address, and we don't have a firefighter and an apparatus leaving at that address. So that map I found to be somewhat misleading. We in Webster Township rely on response times out of 8140 on Main Street. So that's my input for tonight. I'll share the copy of the business card, and I'm not going to stick around for your discussion, but I wanted to share my my experience and our experience.
Thank you, John, very much. Thanks for the info.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak? Stephen? Okay, seeing none, we'll go then to the next item, the communications. And there are a number of communications, the upcoming meeting list, the signed calendar, invitation to the library's event for their 10th anniversary. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but those are the communications there. I hope you all can attend the 10th year anniversary. Any other comments on that?
Yeah.
Chuck?
The CapDart meeting is wiggling around a little bit as we've had new members. The actual next meeting is going to be on Wednesday, May 1st. We have a budget meeting, so we won't be there, but it works better for some folks there. And it will probably change a little bit more as Linden Township has changed their planning commission to the first Wednesday, so it's a bit in flux.
Thank you.
Paul?
Yes.
I'm sorry. The Housing Task Force, April 25th, is going to be canceled.
Okay. And I can announce also that the WAVE board has been canceled this Tuesday as well, okay?
WAVE is canceled?
WAVE is canceled as well. They've had some multiple issues as it relates to her power there, and they're behind with a lot of the stuff that they needed to have done. So they found out, which was kind of ironic to me since it was built by the board that builds the building department there, that they had problems with their generator, so didn't back up. That was a little irony in that discussion, but we'll not go any further than that. Please don't put that in minutes. All right, saying none, okay, we're going to have go to our reports. The first one's Marie Sherry for our treasurer, director, treasurer, assessor, etc.
Etc. I like the etc. part.
I do too.
Hello, council. Good evening. So you have in front of you my written report. I didn't do much the last 3 months. I was pretty quiet. So I just wanted to point out the importance, I think, of including the tax collections and distributions, especially since we have a new member that didn't see this report last year. This is just basically all the money that we bring in from tax collection and that we send back out to the other taxing units. So it takes up a lot of space in the report, but it's also a heck of a lot of money. So I just like to show council what's coming in and what's going out, and when it's coming in and when it's going out. We have settled with everybody. We've paid out all of the taxes that have been collected. We have some delinquent personal property taxes that I'm going to turn to here shortly. But everything else has been paid out to them. We've settled with the county, we've signed off, taxes is done. From the assessing side of things, board of review went very well, I thought. We only, most of what we had in front of us was administrative or taxpayers not completely understanding how the uncapping worked, and they wanted to come in and talk to the board. So that went very well. I was very pleased with the way, they don't call it settlement, but I kind of call it settlement in my mind, went with the county. We got they've gone ahead and done all their equalization. Their board, county board has signed off on it now. It's been sent off to the state. Our equalization factor is 1, which is what it should be. If it's not 1, then you better find a new assessor. So that's kind of done, and then everything else is chugging along. I've been cleaning my office. It's been nice to be able to find things under the piles of paper that I had everywhere. So if anybody has any questions, happy to answer them.
They want to point out the meter
Oh, yes.
investments and the 58,000 that have been generated from our Headworks project, which will help because as you recall, we sold $5.5 million in bonds, but the project was closer to 5.6 if we spend all the contingency, and so having this $56,000 should say, or $58,000 so far, and that's only through the end of March, will be very helpful in us not having to use as much reserve, so.
Yeah, we've also seen a fairly good increase, just for the city and for the DDA, the non-bond funds. I didn't, because of the way things, shook out last fall, I didn't really have enough time to sit there and really figure out everything. So I think the fact that we've made what we've made on it with we've had some money sitting in a money market, let's put it that way, instead of being laddered out further just because I didn't have the time to deal with it. But even then, we're still making more than we were making under the old way. And the money market, I mean, it's safe, it's liquid.
If you could make an estimate, which may be difficult, would you say that next year and during the assessing process, it will be easier, and can you give me a percentage? Be twice as easy, it'll be half as easy, or?
It will be probably 65% easier.
Okay, that's a good
I would agree with that.
Because because I was so new, I spent a lot of time redoing things the right way, that having not quite done them the right way the first time or the second time or sometimes the third time. So now that we've gone through this process, yes, it should be considerably easier. Now there are some things that I want to map out, and I think I mentioned it during the goal setting, is like the 5-year kind of master plan for assessing, because there are areas that definitely need to be looked at in the city. And I need to kind of map out a plan on how we're going to look at them each year. Hopefully I'll have time to do
Okay,
that.
thank you. Any other questions from Marie?
Just a couple quick ones. Am I correct in reading this, that we collect more money for the schools than we do for ourselves? Okay. Here's another one. This is a general one for folks who are smarter than me. Is the 3% the maximum increase we can do with the Headley?
It's the rate of inflation or 5.
Okay, yeah, so
Lower.
the increase for the taxable value was 2.4% this year. The other 0.6% is from sales and cappings,
Okay.
construction,
Gotcha.
that sort of thing. We don't have our Headley factory yet. So I did do a calculation though, that I really tried to give the city an extra $780,000, but Courtney said that I did it wrong. She's right.
When you do your value based on SED instead of taxable value, it's
We're like, woo, that's gonna be quite a Headley reduction.
And in general, it looks like we're doing pretty good. Would that be accurate? All right, thank you.
Any further questions?
And I had the budget amendments in consent. There weren't that many. I didn't think there was anything, so if you guys have any questions on those, we could address those now, but it shouldn't be anything that you hadn't heard of, or nothing really that's spent a considerable amount of reserves.
Actually, something to call out, the one thing that we'll be doing a budget amendment for the third quarter is, you remember we had that little bit of money left in the bond fund, the GEO bond fund? And we paid out some to Chelsea Wellness. We're gonna pay the rest out if we ever get we're waiting for the invoice from the county. And then we'll close that fund at the end of this fiscal year as part of our year-end close, move that money into the facilities bond fund, because we have to use it to pay bond. So we'll move it over there. I think it's gonna be, what was it, 16,000 or something like that? So that fund will finally get to go away at the end of this fiscal year.
That was for the streetscape bond that we paid off in 2016, but
Yeah.
we knew it was gonna owe money back to the
Yeah.
wellness center, so it's been open this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll
So-
be one last thing.
So we'll do an amendment both for the monies that we're paying out on the taxes and for the transfer into the facilities fund.
Any further questions? Thank you, Marie.
Thank you.
Next is our public service superintendent, who's not here, so Courtney, I guess you're
Yeah.
gonna take care of that for us?
Do the answer report, so I can answer any questions. The 2 updates I got from the guys today, the water tower project is moving along well. They are about 70% done with the blasting of the bowl, the sand drip blasting of the bowl.
70%.
And 50% of that's already primed, because Nelson they have to have that top lid open when they're blasting, and it rains inside so, when it rains. So Nelson was making them prime it immediately to prevent any rust or any issues. So actually 50% of it's already primed. So once they finish the blasting and the priming, it's 3 coats of paint. So that's 1 coat a day. And then it'll be 3 to 4 to 5 days for us to bring it back up, filling it, disinfecting it, emptying it. You know, there's a whole procedure the state makes you go through, obviously. So we're still on track for within the 6 weeks, but they're doing a good job. They will be working 7 days a week now that they're on the quiet stuff, so.
Is there a projected finish date?
It should be done by the 10th, that was our 6 weeks, so I think it will be before that, but that's kind of the date we were
It's still
hoping
on
to,
track.
yes. Yeah, it shouldn't be any later than the 10th, barring something unforeseen. We have the part that we were waiting for, and they're gonna work on that simultaneously with the painting, so we should be in good shape. The Headworks project, they ran water through the new tertiary filters today, and they will turn them on tomorrow. So that's exciting. That's a big piece of that project. There's an update from F&B with more photos and information on the project in this report. So it's basically the blue filters that are on page 39 and 40. That's what's starting up tomorrow. So that basically means the large part of the project still to be complete is the Headworks building, and parts are coming in for that. They'll continue to come in through June. So I think August is the completion. I like the picture on page 44 of that sort of like funnel type thing.
Yep.
That looks like fun.
Great
So,
test.
yeah. So yeah, other than that, if there's any questions on the other report, I can.
God has done his help in raining a lot, so people don't have
They
to
have.
worry about their their lawns, so.
It's a little
Yeah,
wet.
that's for sure. On page 34, second to last bullet in the wastewater section, submitted additional PFAS info, I'm assuming that's PFAS,
Yeah.
and Alpha Metals has an IPP permit?
Yes, so we had to test certain facilities that the DEQ, in conjunction with the DEQ, we had to look at all of our facilities and determine who got tested for
Right, so do we
PFAS.
have to check our effluent?
Yes, we
Okay.
checked our
And what was
effluent
the
and we
result?
checked, I don't have my head, but it wasn't anything that was over the, so the only place, so we tested the fire station, Alpha Metal, maybe Thompson Shore, I think was the other one. So Alpha Metal had the highest of any of the facilities. They didn't rise to the level of any sort of action, but I think as the DEQ debates lowering the limit, that's kind of where they're at. So they provided additional follow-up on Alpha Metal because that was the highest of the 3. So, and Alpha Metal's aware of that. We made them aware at the time that, hey, your result came in lower than the level, but we're worried they're going to lower the level. So,
Right. Okay. Do you have all those test reports?
yeah. Yeah, no. Hi. Oh, was it water? I thought.
Last year,
Okay.
yeah, last year you sent me the water
Yeah.
tests.
Yeah, no, we have all that.
I'm just
I think we,
curious.
yeah, we may have put it in the package.
Any further questions on Dan's report? Courtney? Okay, seeing none, let's go then to our community development, Michelle.
Good evening, council. How are you this evening?
Thank you.
I'm fine, thank you. So, you've got my report in front of you, and before I go into any of the updates, do you have any questions or comments for me?
Evidently not.
Okay, so in regards to some new businesses coming in, Naughty Boys Rolled Ice Cream is going out at Dexter Crossing.
Naughty boys.
Naughty Boys Rolled Ice Cream. It's a craft ice cream maker, and the young woman who's who's basically taking this from, you know, farmer's market, mobile cart vending into her first bricks and mortar establishment. It'll be at 7077 Dexter Ann Arbor Road, which is in Dexter Crossing, between the H&R Block and the GNC, or former GNC. Other news regarding Dexter Crossing The mathnasium is closing by the end of this month. They just didn't have enough people seeking their services. The new Trails magazine is out. And a couple of the things that we really wanted them to fix, like the Southeast Michigan map, was to make sure that Dexter was identified. It is. And then our beautiful ad is in with our trails. We've got a number of copies. We'll be distributing them to the businesses. We have copies in the office. If you'd like one, just let me know. We'll put, some aside if you want to hand them out. That would be great. I see a question.
Can I back up to the previous topic?
Which one?
The ice cream?
The ice cream?
When is that planned for opening?
She's got preliminary zoning compliance, so they're working on their build-out now. That could be 60 to 90 days. I suspect she's going to want to get open as soon as possible. Take advantage of the summer.
Any further discussion from the developer that was looking at the old Mill Creek Sporting Goods site? Is that just been quiet? And the second question is just a second. Second question was, sorry, I gotta write these down, I know, sorry. On the property there at Central Street, is there any change there?
The one that Brower's working on?
Yes.
No change yet. I am, based on the last conversation we had with council, I'm talking to the city engineer to make sure that any improvement there, it's just going to be surface fixes
Yeah.
in the alley, doesn't create any additional runoff, and we'll be fine there.
Okay.
Okay? All right, thank you.
One question.
Oh, sorry.
Was it last month or the month before, you mentioned a meeting you had with Brower about an outbuilding development at Country Market?
Oh, there has been nothing since then.
Nothing since? Okay.
Nothing since then. Something I was just gonna,
That's where LaFontaine has cars, right?
they don't have any cars. It's where they had asked for cars, but
Well, yesterday there was
I think they moved cars there for the Easter egg hunt, potentially,
Yes,
and
it's all
then they'll move, yeah. So,
all their used cars.
yeah, I think they freed up some space for the hunt.
Okay.
okay, yeah.
Because I went by there and
Yeah.
that part of the lot that was right there on Dexter and Army Road was full of cars
Oh, okay.
And I believe that.
without license plates.
Yeah, I think that was to kind of help us accommodate
Okay.
the Easter egg.
That's good.
Okay.
All right,
Is
thank
there,
you.
Michelle? Thank you, Michelle. All right, now we're down to board commissions. We have the Cap Dart April meeting notes. Jack, you want to mention anything about them, or?
Nope, they're draft minutes, but they usually won't change.
Okay, thank you very much. The next one is a written report by the sheriff. Any comments, Courtney?
Paul, I'm sorry. Do you want the student representative?
I'll do that in my report.
Okay, all right.
I don't have any additional, if there's any questions I can answer. But as I mentioned, Lisa will be coming back as our lieutenant May 1st.
All right. Subcommittee reports, nothing there. City manager report, next, Courtney.
I want to ask you a question. I got the electronic invite from the chamber to attend a meeting with Celine and Chelsea, brainstorming ideas. Do you know anything about that?
I really don't. I wish I did.
Okay.
I-
Well, they want me back, I guess.
The next
They didn't like me, but now they do.
The next meeting we have is a week from today, at
Okay.
noon at the Dexter,
I can ship it to
at
you.
the Dexter Library.
Okay, I'll send
Yeah, I
it.
saw.
Is that like a group meeting that was over in Chelsea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that today too.
I think it just went out to their
Oh,
mailing.
Yeah.
Was it an email?
Yeah,
I haven't looked yet, so.
it went out to their
Okay.
mailing list, so I'm sure you got it.
When you do.
Okay, thank you.
It doesn't really say Dexter on it, it just has Dexter out here, and the bottom is Chelsea and Celine, so it makes sense to me.
I can't tell you that got an email that said they acquired 7 new members, so by just going out and asking, so they've done some work. They're the best.
Good.
Yeah. All right, Courtney.
Okay, so did you want to come, so we have, I know last meeting a bunch of our students came, so we do have a student here that's one of our Arts, Culture, and Heritage Committee members,
Okay.
so do you want to just introduce yourself? Okay. Then you don't have to stay. Justin's not here, or else he would help me with this, but he had to go to a different meeting, so.
Okay. Well, my name is Sophia Grant. I'm a junior at Dexter High School, and I'm serving on the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Committee. I live in Dexter Township, but I'm really close by. I don't know what to say.
That's all right, it's okay. You guys actually,
Let them know why you signed up, and tell them what you're thinking about your future.
Okay. So my dad actually got the email like a few months ago. He sent it to me because I had expressed interest in possibly pursuing like political science or something in that field after college, or during college, and then considering a career in that area. And so I wanted to kind of try it out to see if it was something I was really interested in, to kind of get more experience. And I just thought it was a really cool opportunity and a really great way to sort of serve the community.
Thank you, very good. Thank you. Thank you, very nice to meet you, Sophia.
Sophia, do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have a younger sister.
Okay. I was wondering if you were related to someone else named Grant that we know. No, I guess not.
All
Glad
right.
you're here, Sophia, thank you.
thank you. Let's see, I don't that I have too much, so still working on the water school, which will be the 14th, so if any council people are around in that afternoon that want to attend, that would be good.
14th day they're coming here, right?
Right, in the afternoon, probably between 1 and 4-ish. Unfortunately, Paul Evanoff will be out of town, but we will have Aaron Burkholz from the Road Commission, the Trout Unlimited representative to talk about the trout stocking, and then, we can be there to answer any questions about the park and I thought Aaron would be helpful for people that might be interested in the specifics of the dam removal, because he was the engineer, and since he's back at the Road Commission, it worked out well. The meeting with the residents for the Forest Street sidewalk is tomorrow at 6. They're meeting at the corner of Baker and Forest on the north side of the street. Only feedback I've received was a question from one resident about how we were sort of incorporating her current stairs, which I answered, and then another resident who was very anti putting any sort of sidewalk in, very anti putting any sort of sidewalk in. But her house is on the south side, so she's not impacted by this project this summer anyway. Yeah, so I responded to that the best that I could with our sort of philosophy on the importance of connectivity as for our small town feel. The gazebo stairs repair is starting tomorrow, so we're excited to get that project underway. The Easter egg hunt went really well. It didn't start raining until right before the scramble, so we did get kind of drenched, but probably had 150, 200 kids. I mean, it doesn't stop them from coming. They were coming from all directions. So. Yeah, and I think having a paid face painter was actually really good. I think people appreciated that. It was well worth the money. Let's see. There was an article in the paper today that tire chalking for knowing if somebody's parked for more than 2 hours is actually an unconstitutional Fourth Amendment violation. Who would have thought? So that was an interesting article. If you see it in the Detroit News, that's an unreasonable seizure. Yeah, I can take a picture. I'm not sure, but that's technically an unreasonable search as a Fourth Amendment violation. So interesting for people that don't have parking meters to enforce their parking with that requirement. So that was just something I happened to run into today. The budget work session is the first, so the budget will go out on Friday.
That's May 1st.
Yeah, May 1st,
What time do we
next
have that?
Wednesday, 6, and that is at the Mill Creek Media Center.
I also had written down on that note, the 15th, is that the same?
That's also budget work session,
Okay.
yep.
But that's a different location, right?
That's still Mill Creek Media
both
Center.
of them?
Yeah, because Wednesdays we can't be here, so. It was my review that it was a different place. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm hoping that the pedestrian safety stuff, that I'll have more on that for the next packet, like the map. They're really close. I think they just have Westridge and then some stuff they were looking at with the railroad tracks before that will be done. So, and I did attend a meeting this afternoon, actually. The county, Watts and the County Office of Economic Development are trying to standardized crosswalk, the look of crosswalks throughout the county. So that no matter where you are in the county, they sort of look the same. And it was a really interesting group with Ann Arbor, the Road Commission, Pittsfield Township, myself. And we had a really good conversation. We had a 2-hour meeting today, and I think that there's definitely some things that we could do to sort of standardize, not necessarily deciding what treatment should go on each road, but if you decide to do a treatment, what it should look like, so that you are seeing the consistency throughout the county. And that was even there, and they were, you know, willing to work. You know, they have different parameters they have to work within, but they were still very helpful. So I think it's a good group, and that could be helpful. Some of this we'll probably do before the group, but we already have had some conversations about some general things that we can incorporate this summer in our project. So I think that should be helpful since crosswalks are a big deal for everybody right now. That's it, unless there's any questions.
Any updates from the road commission as far as when they'll be doing the big road?
No, I asked Aaron Burkholz about that, and he said, which I think I had in here, that it was sometime before May 24th. I have not heard from him, but they're supposed to give him at least a little bit of notice, so I'm thinking I'll probably include that as in an email update as like a heads up, maybe this week even, just to kind of get it on people's radar. But he knows that I want to know when, you know, and that's the nice thing about having Aaron back is, you know, we have a long-standing relationship. So.
Good, thank you.
And that will be quick, you know, that's a quick mill and overlay, that's not anything long drawn out. So more like what they did on Joy and some other places over last summer where it's, you know, a week.
Any further questions for Courtney? Okay, hearing none. Next item there are the consent agenda.
No, we got the mayor's report.
Oh, excuse me, mayor's report.
Yeah.
That's mayor's report. We will. We'll wait for Sean to come back and talk about that if he needs to. Sorry about that, Jim. Yeah, if he can do that during the session where we talk about council comments if he needs to, or before that. All right. All right. Yes.
What time is our joint meeting with the
CBA? So that will start at 5:30 for like snacks and networking, and then 6 will be when the meeting starts here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So 5:30, 5:45?
Yeah, so 5:30 will be, you know, just general mingling, and so I'm gonna get just some like snack stuff, and then 6 will be when we start. And I believe it's, yeah, it seems like a lot of the different boards and commissioners are gonna be able to come, so I'm pretty happy with who said they're gonna be able to come. And then the chair or their designee, mostly the chairs, will give just a kind of a brief update or anything they want feedback on or their current projects, and then we'll give everybody a chance to kind of talk about anything that they want to talk about. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Ready? All right. The next item is consent agenda.
I move to approve the 4 items listed on the consent agenda. Bills and payroll in the amount of $116,458.73. Road closures related to Dexter Days and the Dexter Days Parade. Consideration of the 18-19 budget amendments for the city, and the proposed award to Infinity Energy for LED lighting upgrades at DPW facilities. And that's to not exceed $11,000.
Okay, do that, Scott, okay? Any discussion on that? Oh, we don't need that.
You can.
Okay, discuss that, okay, we're all set now? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Old business, no old business, new business. Okay, we have an item to talk about waste management and the proposal from them for our recycled trash collection July 1st through the 19th through June 20th, 30th, 24th. Gosh, we're supposed to be alive. We don't know, okay, so. Do you want to speak first, or how do you want to do it?
Yeah, so this is the information we talked about at kind of last meeting. Zach had some questions that Pat responded to. He's also here, and obviously you all know Pat. Justin was in charge of the solid waste budget this year, and he got it done early so that we could include it in this packet so that you could see sort of the impact. The cost increase that is, we're not voting on the actual cost increase, that'll be part of the budget process, but it's not just the waste management cost, we also have increased costs because we're paying for all the recycling that started this year, just because the amount that we pay to recycle is so much higher. And the leaf equipment machine, when we do equipment rentals, it's more expensive, so there is an increased cost to that as well. So that's why you see the rate go up to, basically would have to go up to $22.50 per month with this proposal. And then Justin also provided the impact to some of our commercial customers to standardize the rates. The thought being that had we put it out to bid, we would be standardizing the rates. And it's just going to be so much easier to be able to tell people the same rate no matter what they are based on the yardage. So if there's any questions, Pat, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add or...
Any questions for Pat, anything you want to say? Pat Greaves, not only
Yeah, just,
Waste Management, but also as a resident of Dexter here.
yes, thank you. Pat Greavy from Waste Management, and as indicated by Mr. Cousins, also a resident, proud resident of the city of Dexter. So, you know, there were some questions from last time on, maybe I could just address those quick. So, the one was about what if people wanted a larger recycled cart than the 64. So, what's going to happen if this is approved and when the carts are delivered is there's going to be an information packet that comes with the cart. It'll be inside the cart itself, so when the resident gets it and open it up, it's going to be hanging there in a bag for them to review. And what we can do, and we did this and it was really effective in a number of communities. City of Romulus comes to mind because that's the example of the postcard I brought if you actually wanted to see it. But in that packet, we include a postcard that basically says, you know, here's your cards, please try it out. If you decide after, you know, using it for a while, you want a larger size recycle cart, you can check the box, mail the postcard back, and then we give the residents about 30 days to do that because we want them to try the carts and see if they work. Or if they just decide they want the other size right away, they can mail it back. Then we get everybody's address that wants the cart swapped out. We can batch those up and then do that swap. So that'll occur after about the first 30 days. And it worked really well. Like I said, the one that I did myself back a few years ago was Romulus, and I think the residents found it convenient as, okay, if I want to swap it, I can just trade this back or send this back and they'll come and swap it out. So the answer, that's a long answer of saying, yes, we can do that, but I wanted to tell you how we would do it too, so it would be organized and we know who wanted that change and hopefully make it convenient for them.
And Pat, that goes for changing the trash to 64 as well.
If you want that,
If that was
Smaller trash.
that way we can do it. I'll probably ask Justin and Courtney, and it'll probably be Justin, I would assume, some of the condo
right.
units, we'll contact them directly before we ever deliver the cards and kind of have that conversation with them about if they want something different than the standard setup.
Yeah, I could see like Victoria condos maybe.
Yeah, I think there are some places in town, so we'll put our heads together and decide and reach out to those people and have that conversation in advance so, you know, they don't get a whole bunch of cards that they don't want and then we have to swap all those out. So on those situations, we'll reach out in advance and try to work that out with them. So that's, again, seemed to work pretty effective in the past. The green bin, you know, there's all different makes, models, and shapes of those out there, as you know. Some people use cans, but suffice it to say, they can keep that bin. I know a lot of people, even before they stop or get a different kind of container, start using those bins for a lot of other things besides recycling and switch to the can. If you look around town, you see a lot of people using the can with a sticker program, and I think that's really good. We put that in a few years back, but they can keep that. As you know, we're switching all of our service one by one to this type of service, so we really don't have any use for those bins anymore, so people can do that. We do tell them if they don't want it, to just either put it in the cart if they have room or set it on top of the cart, and we'll take it away. They are recyclable, so we can take them right away with the recycling. Courtney also asked me if, you know, you could use Western Washtenaw as your outlet for the recycling. And the answer to that is yes, we could work that out. We just had a brief discussion here before the meeting. You know, the idea is if you find another place, or even if the place we're taking the recycling now lowers the processing cost, that's going to accrue to the benefit of the community. So if you decide you want to go to Western Washtenaw, you know, that's fine. I don't know if they can handle the material. I don't know that. I know that's a pretty small center. I think they hand sort a lot of their material to get in. So I know when we've tried to use them in the past, too much volume too quickly overwhelms them. But they may be an option, and if it's cheaper, by all means, we'll work it out to take it there as opposed to where we're going with it now. Yours is all on a specific day, so it's an easy change for us. Those were the questions I had about the program. Again, it's 2 carts, a 96 trash, a 64 recycle, you know that already. I'm sure you've been through that and talked about it a number of times. So unless there are any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them or talk about anything else related to the program that you'd like.
Go ahead, Ted.
Real life question here. If
Yeah.
I go to IKEA, do I have to cut the box into a million tiny pieces to fit in the cart, or can I set it next to the cart like I do today? 'Cause they have lots of cardboard packaging.
Yeah, the material really has to be in the cart because of the way the trucks are going to be configured, because it's going to be serviced it mechanically, and it's going to dump it in a hopper that's made to, you know, receive the material from that cart, and hopefully not have it blow all over the place when it does it, the way the truck is configured. So the system is that the driver stays in the truck, basically. Allows us to broaden our hiring pool. In fact, I passed an automated truck the other day, and it was, I almost clapped because there was a lady driving it. And I was like, that's where we're trying to get to. Because right now, you know, we have some women that do this work, but by and large, it's mostly men. But, you know, we think by this change, and, you know, most of the companies are following suit, that we can literally double our hiring pool. Because there's probably a lot of qualified women out there that could operate these rigs without a problem. So, yeah, the answer is that the material needs to be in the cart. So if you need the bigger cart, you know.
What about yard waste? How are you going to handle that?
Yard waste is still going to be the old-fashioned way. It will be hand load until, you know, the problem with yard waste is the carts get so heavy that the equipment, they tend to tear themselves apart as you use the equipment and dump the cart. Just the torque on the cart itself, they come apart too easily. So unfortunately, we don't have a great automated system for that line of business yet. It may come someday, but for now, we're sticking with the hand load on the yard waste.
Will that still be the same day that you're picking up?
Oh, yes.
the trash?
Oh, yes,
So you'll have to
yeah.
be sending 2 different kinds of trucks to town.
Yep, it will be. So we'll still have to find some people that are willing to do that kind of work.
And then you'll have once a month that you're having the large object picked up also?
Both will be one time a month. We'll pick a Monday, and that'll be in the material that comes with the cart. However, if residents have additional bulk, they can schedule it separately, but it will be a prepay item. They'll pay for that instead of, you know, everybody in the community, you know, sharing that cost, so to speak. It'll be kind of an individualized service.
Thank you.
If, say, any particular week, if you had more trash than would go in your trash can, is there a way to designate the recycle bin also as trash on a temporary situation? Say you have a party over the weekend and you had a lot of trash, and it's more than will fit into the trash can.
That is an interesting concept. One, quite honestly, I don't think we've thought of, but I like that idea.
And bring it to my house.
And I'll see if we could figure something out, because that
Not allowed.
well, that's a really good, great question, and a very, you know, I've never heard that discussed, but I'll have to think about.
Maybe some, you know, temporary stickers or
How
something.
you do that, you put a sticker on it or something, or something that slides over the lid, so.
Yeah.
I gotta think about that, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Put the lid in the trash bag or something.
Because, well, you know, because you're recycling, it's not protrusible material, you know, if you need to save that up for another week, it's not gonna smell up your garage or things like that, you could put it in.
And that's where we can
inside.
use the green bins that we have.
That's an interesting concept, I'm gonna think about that. I don't have an answer to that question, but I'll get you one, that is a really good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, everybody else, I have a question. The present waste containers that we have, not the green bins, you pick those up as well?
If you don't want it,
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
how many do you need in there if you got?
Yeah, we'll-
got
we'll-
the-
To start out the program, we could arrange to take those away
Take those
probably
out
on
as
the
well.
bulk week. Probably put them out on your bulk week if you don't
Yeah,
want
okay.
them.
So
Yep.
another question, can Zach put his IKEA boxes out on that bulk day on Monday?
You could, but it's not gonna get recycled.
It's not gonna be recycled.
Yeah, because the bulk items are going,
Just go trash.
yeah, those are not your recyclable
That's okay,
items.
all right. Any other questions? All right, we have a,
I'd like to make a motion
thank you, Don.
that we authorize staff to enter into a contract with Waste Management for a 5-year period ending June 30th, 2024. And my paper says reflecting the information provided by Waste Management.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion on that motion?
Yeah. I'm going to vote no, not that the service hasn't been good, but it's hard for me to justify a 38% increase in cost from today to the end of this term when it feels like the service isn't getting better for the residents, but not to reflect the service that we've had.
Okay, any other comments? No?
Yeah, I'm still trying to forgive you for making me haul my trash out on Sunday night.
Sorry.
I get, yeah, right. I'm adapting now. I think we get excellent service.
Thank you.
And I might have said this to you before, I'll say it again. I have young grandchildren, little boys. And, you know, your guys stop, they think that's so wonderful, that truck comes, and your guys wave to them. It's just really nice. I just really appreciate that, so thank you.
I will make sure that I pass it on to the supervisors so
Please
they
do.
can share it with the crew.
Do that.
They always like to hear that. But I'm glad to hear it. Thank you for sharing
Further
that.
comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye. All, is that-
Roll call.
roll call vote. Let's do it that way. That's right, thanks, Will.
Okay, Michelle,
Keep me straight up here.
No.
Knight,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Cousins.
Yes. Passes 5 to 1, right?
Yes.
5 to 1, thank you. All right,
Thank you very much.
thank you,
Thank you.
Patty. Thank you, for service.
Just before we move on, I saw a flyer today for the Washoe County Cleanup Day. That is May 18th. And we'll be taking stuff over at Chelsea High School that day.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's at Chelsea this time?
But they have it all over, so I can-
May
I can
May
send
the
you a copy
18th?
of that.
Yeah, so then I can put that out. Because that's right around our cleanup day, because I think our spring cleanup's the 20th this year, somewhere in there.
Sounds about right.
Third, it's usually the third Monday in May now.
Yeah. Is that household hazardous waste, the
Do
Chelsea?
you know what they're taking, Jim?
Everything.
They're taking,
They
you
take,
know, they'll take, I think, up to 4 tires, not on rims. They'll take TVs, but they ask for
Electronic
donations
waste.
Yeah.
on certain things.
The electronic waste is.
But the flyer kind of outlines it pretty good, so.
Good, yeah, awesome.
And where do you get that flyer?
I just ran across it online.
Okay, thank you. Sure, we'll see it. Thanks, Jim, for that. Okay. All right, the next item is to consider the Planning Commission recommendation to approve the 2019-2024 CIP. And you've got a
I
copy
make
of
a
that.
motion to approve the 2019-2024 CIP.
And that's the resolution on 175, right?
Correct.
Okay. Including
75, 76.
approving the resolution.
Yep. All right,
You need a second.
we need a second.
Second.
Okay. Okay, discussion.
Just so council is aware, there will be 2 minor administrative changes pending to several DDA projects, but they're not changing expenditure amounts, just shifting the years that the expenditure will take place.
All right,
That's the two that are in the memo
Yes.
on page 174, I think.
Actually, no, those additional changes were made at their meeting last
Oh,
week.
okay.
They'll be the projects 1.02 and 1.13. To 1.02, the general fund expenditure in 2021 will be shifted to the same amount, but shifted to the DDA, and then that'll also be reflected in and then the DDA expenditures will just be shifted in the 2024 and beyond in 1.13. I
So it's
believe
just
to
changing.
correspond. Yeah,
Changing the years.
changing yours.
yeah.
Okay. Any comments? Zach?
I just want to point out, for those of you who don't get knee deep in this, it's pretty incredible the number of things we've been able to take out of this from last year. Usually these are kind of a wish list that sit there and you look at them and you dream. And there are actually maybe 3 or 4 things on here that are going to leave at the end of this year.
That's going to be
done.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. Something that I just want to bring to folks' mind is we're already replacing the paving in Dexter Crossing. That's because when it was put in, we didn't have folks in there making sure they built it right. That's a very low volume road that shouldn't be dead already. One thing that I would like to throw out for discussion in future years, we kind of touch on it tangentially in a couple spots, is that alleys. I suspect allowing or encouraging folks to do accessory dwellings along the alleys is going to be an important part of our future. And so either the transportation or the infrastructure folks should take a crack at how do we look at that. So that might be something added for next year, the year after that. And this is more a policy document, but I'll throw it out there as we get close to budget season here, is I will suspect that zoning ordinance update is going to be more than $40,000 if we want to do it well. $20,000 in 2 fiscal years will get a polish, but it won't transform us from a suburban zoning ordinance to an urban zoning ordinance, and it'll still leave processes that are kind of mucky and slow. So,
If I could address that.
yep.
Being that we haven't had that budget discussion, and we won't have it till May 1st, that was the best guess
Yep.
that staff had. But
Yep.
I do appreciate, because I did realize it probably would be low. Thank you, though.
And that's all that I got. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Anyone else? All right, Jones, roll call vote, please.
Bell?
Yes.
Cousins?
Yes.
Michelle's?
Yes.
Smith? Fisher?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, the next item is a consideration of resolution of MDOT contract on number 19-5959, and authorizing the mayor and city manager to execute the contract for Central Street reconstruction project.
I'll move we approve the resolution.
Thank you, Jim. Second by Mr. Bell.
So this is our required contract for the Central Street reconstruction, so another thing we can check off the list of stuff to do for that project. It's a boilerplate contract that I think is exactly the same as the one that we've signed for the past 11 years. They don't change much. OHM did take a look at it. It did have a little bit of a higher funding amount in it, so we're definitely going to leave that alone, and if they actually give us that much money, fantastic. The project, the bids are due May 3rd, so we're coming up on that, and then hopefully construction will start June 3rd, right after the Dexter number run, so. Yeah, it's just kind of a standard contract we enter into, and then they pay the contractor, and then we pay them that our portion.
All right, questions, concerns? Zach?
I just love to point out on page 178 that it appears they've been using the same template since September 6, 1990.
Right, I absolutely believe it. So.
You know,
Harry, go ahead.
it's a federal document.
State, well,
Looks like it's
federal
adopted.
highway, yes, so it trickles, yeah.
So in the federal world, that's not very surprising.
Right.
It's-
Yeah.
Okay, good comment. All right. Mr. Jones, roll call.
Fisher,
Yes.
Michelle's,
Yes.
Knight, yes, Cousins,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
All right, the next item on the agenda is a contract with DTE to change the roundabout lighting for an amount not to exceed $2,000. Motion, please.
So moved.
Jim Smith,
One second.
second by Julie.
So this is in response to complaints that the road commission was receiving from residents in the area of the roundabout that the light was providing too much light onto their property. So as a solution to that, the lights will be swapped out with the Cobra Head style lighting, and that should, according to DTE's calculations, reduce the amount of light. So the actual calculations were sent to Larry Stalker, who's one of the residents that has the concern. So he is aware and has acknowledged that he understands that it's not going to zero when there's going to be lights. I mean, and he said that, you know, that he gets that, but this will lessen it. So it will actually make it brighter in the roundabout and less bright behind the roundabout because there'll be a higher wattage LED. We will end up with 14 teardrop fixtures, and included in here's a letter from DTE saying that they'll pay the labor for installation for those somewhere else. So if we decide to use them at a crosswalk, we probably would not put them somewhere residential, obviously, because we'd have the same problem. But perhaps on Dan Hoy in a non-residential area, or on Baker, maybe we could reuse them to help light up our crosswalks. Our other option is selling them on gov deals to another community that maybe needs extras for if they get knocked down. It's not that much money. Actually, we just got a check from the road commission today. They refunded the whole $25,000. They were able to refund it through the grant that we paid for the lights to begin with. So that was unexpected, and shows how well they managed the contract, that we had enough grant money for them to refund all $25,000 of our payment. So that offsets, you know, obviously offsets this. But yeah, they really did an excellent job with the roundabouts, because we got 1.3 million, and I was shocked that we actually were able to get that full amount back, so.
Where are we going to store it?
The 14, yeah, it's not the poles, fortunately, it's just the head, but yeah, I guess the DPW,
We have
They really don't
any
need
space in those two sheds up there on Dan Hoy?
I think those are pretty full, but yeah, they'll have to figure out
All right.
something.
They can figure it out.
Yeah, they're good at hoarding.
All right, any further questions? Zach, go ahead.
On page 208, one of the check boxes is, does the requested customer lighting design meet the IESNA, International Engineering Society of North America, recommended practices? And the box no is checked.
That's correct.
Do we know why it doesn't meet?
Yeah, it's not bright enough. There's not enough lights. It would probably, there would be more light poles if, because, and it's the lead-in, it's the approach. So there's, the lights in the roundabout are correct, but the lead-up lighting is not. And the road, and we signed that on the other one too, on the current lighting, because the road commission doesn't take it all the way to those standards, feeling like it would be way overkill, so. So we signed off on that for how they are now.
You have more people complaining.
It would be a lot more
On
like.
Baker Road.
Yeah.
All right, any further discussion? Ms. Jones, please call roll.
Smith,
Yes.
Michelle's,
No?
Fisher,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Knight, yes, Cousins.
Yes. Pass 5-1, okay. Okay, the next one is consideration of sending representatives to the fire station, council representatives to the fire station design conference.
I move that we do that,
All right,
and we can hash out the details in discussion.
I'll support.
all right, we have a motion and support. I'm just trying to get the pages together here, excuse me. We have them. Page 24, okay. All right, got it now, thank you. All right, so hash out the details when?
Now, during our
Now,
discussion,
discussion, who's gonna go?
2 people, 3 people, we're gonna be staying at the Motel 6 or...
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, Scott, remember now.
Okay, discussion? You want to leave there, Julie, or?
Sure. I initially was opposed to this concept or idea because I feel we've hired a engineering firm, Partners and Architect, that's supposedly very experienced in this, and felt we didn't need it. But now after hearing John Strong talk about, his experience for Webster Township, I think that changed my mind. So I think it would be beneficial for us to send at least 1 or 2 people to this conference.
I just want to point out that it is during the water workshop, right, during that time.
And the budget work session we scheduled.
And the budget work session, we'd have to change the budget work session, we can't change the water workshop.
Plus, we have a council meeting on the 13th, which is the night we actually would have to leave to go there, correct? Get the red eye.
Or start driving.
Yes, Ms. Fisher.
Yeah, I don't feel real comfortable about this, and the reason I don't is we don't have a policy. We don't have anything that we have procedures or policies, or this is the way we do this. And so to say that, oh, I guess we'll just pay for somebody's registration and their related expenses, which I think you probably have to pay their related expenses. That's a lion's share of the cost. I would feel much better if we had some sort of a procedure. And I also think it would be good to send more than one person, not just one person, for your protection and for everybody. Everybody will get something different out of the conference. The other thing is there not something that has to do, this looked to me like it was a commercial company that went from place to place and put these things on. Is there not something that would be sponsored by Michigan Municipal League kind of thing, where we already pay dues into some company or organization, and there would be some kind of learning from that? So that's all I have to say. I just feel uncomfortable with not having anything to do with USAC.
I can answer a little bit about the group here. They do put out a magazine, and they are a for-profit group. There's a non-profit group that does have a conference as well. It's in North Carolina. As I understand, there are only 2 in the country, in the Midwest area that does it, though I don't know how many there are in the West Coast, okay, that does this, but in the Midwest, I understand there's only 2 groups that do this, okay, so that's a little bit of information. I have to find out about the other one. They do theirs in March, I believe, and this one here is always done around this time of the year here in May. Jim, excuse me.
I think the idea of going to a conference would be okay, but I think the timing of it would be more beneficial, if we know for sure we're building a new station. Because we pay to send people for this, and then it ends up the vote is not to build a new station. So it's like, do we need to, figure out whether we're going down that path? And I'd be interested to know whether, like David or any of his staff have been to any of these conferences previously. Because, how they've developed their experience with fire stations. So I'd like to know, if David or anybody from his firm have been there and how valuable they look at, what they would gain from those.
Scott?
I don't support this. And the reason for that is that I think that as a public body, our job is to hire experts to advise us in architecture and engineering and finance. It's not our job to try to play architect or play fire station designer. I think that if we don't have confidence in the design professionals that we've retained, then we should retain new ones. That's how I feel about it. And, I say that because I am a practicing consultant. I'm an engineer, professional engineer. I've been for almost 30 years, and I work with a lot of municipalities. I work with airports, government bodies. I work for the federal government. And if I had a client who hired me and then said, you know what, I went to a conference and I learned a few things and I think you're doing it wrong, do it this way, I would be offended. And I might actually consider quitting that client. So for that reason, I think this is just, I don't see the benefit. Now, if a council person wanted to do it out of their own interest and pay for it out of their own pocket and take their time to do it, great, super, I have no problem with that. But I don't think this is the way we should be spending our money.
Well, I think everyone's had a chance now. This could be one of the largest capital expenditures we do in a generation after the sewer treatment plant. And one of the things I love about the city of Dexter is that we work hard. The general folks here, we're not from old money where we just kind of whatever. We work hard, we work smart. We're doing things with road maintenance 15 years before the city of Ann Arbor does it. And I agree, you need to have good consultants, but you also need to be able to speak with them and understand them. How many people know what hot zones are for fire stations? Architects and engineers are salesmen. Their job is to make a sale. I sat in the room when the architects for Dexter Township, who have designed many fire stations, gave bad advice to the township. They let them cut out many things that were required for code because they wanted to make the sale. Dexter Township said, we're only going to spend this, and they said, okay, we'll figure out a design. You can cut this thing and this thing and this thing. And so I've seen salesmen, they want to make the sale, so they'll do whatever. I am still trying to figure out a fire station that has 90-degree doors that block each other. It's not good, can you make it work? But it's disheartening that we would want to go into spending millions of dollars on one of our most important infrastructure, and we don't want to have knowledge on how they work. So that if whoever is doing it for us proposes something that doesn't really work, we can say, hey, what about this? And I've got a whole bunch of, hey, what about this is already. We have money in our budget for planning commission and ZBA members to go off-site and get trained. I really think this body ought to do it as well, including the MML, budgeting, whatever stuff, because yes, we have staff who are experts, but we need to be knowledgeable as well as the folks setting the policy. I would suspect we already do have policy for travel and those types of things because we send folks out to different conferences as it is. And at the scope of the project, it's not that big. And again, Dexter Township, they're having to spend maybe $200,000 fixing a mistake that their architect allowed them to do and actually recommended for them to do. So that's my piece.
Further comments? I'll throw my 2 cents in. I guess I've gone to a number of conferences, you know, as a teacher over the years and tried to always, whether it was for conservation or anything the others, try to figure out, you know, what I could gain out of those conferences. I usually gained a lot. Talking to other people was probably the best thing. You know, talking to colleagues, talking to people that were in the business that I was teaching and in the area that I was taught in. And you know, reference what Jim said, you may be right, Jim, but there may be as much discussion about the present fire station and its plans as well as a new one. Okay, they have an opportunity, you have an opportunity to take your plans there, have somebody, as John mentioned, look at them. You know, I would hope that if whoever goes would also take both sets of plans and have an evaluation of both sets to see what we have in front of us right now. I think that would be an advantage. Scott, I guess my skin's a little thicker than yours. If somebody told me that, you know, I didn't particularly like it, I'd say, well, I appreciate your view, I'll take a look at it and move on, okay? You know, I would strongly believe that you're a strong human being and a professional, and, you know, and be able to counteract anything that somebody would say, well, I think this is a different way to look at it. Could be evaluated and made a decision. So I would support this because I think that more information is better than less information for each one of us, okay? And we bring it back, it would be my responsibility or anybody's responsibility that went to bring back the information and share it with everybody else, hopefully in a non-biased issue, and let the chips fall where they may as far as the information. I just believe that it's a value for us to do that, and I think we have a little person tonight that told us what they felt was, and that was certainly not, I was surprised when John was here and found out, as we said, why he was here. So, that's my 2 cents. We'll take a vote. All right, so we can make a
Can you
conclusion.
clarify though, so how
Okay.
many people, who is it gonna be?
What are we gonna pay for exactly?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go through that.
Procedures plan.
We went up to 2 people. Do you want just one person to go? Let's start with that one.
Well, ideally, we'd have a skeptic and a believer going, right? So I'd say up to 2. And costs only to include registration and housing. No mileage or food.
No mileage or food. There's one thought. Anybody else have a thought on how many people and what restrictions? How many can agree on that?
Let me just suggest we consider one option.
Okay.
What if we offered to pay the attendance of someone from David's firm to accompany one council person?
One of his
So
firm?
we hired David's firm
Okay.
to consult with us. Why don't we see if they can send someone, one of our people,
At their cost or our cost?
our cost,
If they're not going already.
if they're not.
Or
Pay the same-
been recently, no.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure that's a lawful expenditure. I don't know, I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Just off the top of my head, I'm thinking that might not be.
yeah.
Might be a little gray.
How about, it's got to be looking for somebody else. How about John suggested that most of the people there were firefighters. How about a firefighter or the chief?
I think you're gonna run into the same problem again because the
Yeah, they're
fire
not
department's
city.
not ours.
Right. DFD
Would
would need
that
to
be a
pay.
believer or non-believer?
Yeah, good question.
DFD, yeah. would
I
have
don't
to-
even know what that means, okay, so.
I think 2 council members would be best.
Yeah,
So we'd be losing 2 council people from the budget discussion on the first.
We'd have to reschedule.
Or
the
whatever it
15th.
is, one of
Yeah,
those.
You'd have to reschedule that.
Yeah, we'd have to
Maybe we can
reschedule
just get
that.
everything done the first.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and
That would be my preference.
as I recall, there's nothing happening at that time at the conference, so it is possible to call in. It's not as good as being in
I
person,
think it
but
is too. I mean, there's really not a lot in the budget that's a surprise because we have big projects and, you know, we're not, nothing revolutionary.
You haven't been through it, you can't do it at one time. Okay, you don't need to do it.
That's encouraging.
Just a matter of will.
That'd be great.
Well, there's a will, there's a way.
I mean, are there two council people that are interested in attending this, that have the flexibility of schedule?
I was interested in it. I brought, I was aware of it before. I almost signed up just on my own, but decided that I didn't want to miss the water conference because I was involved in the first meeting, but the way it's going, I don't need to be there. It's the scheduling, the process is going very, very well, so. But I don't have to be. I don't know if I'm a believer or not a believer.
Well, I don't,
Jim, I don't know how you define that, but anyway.
Zach said.
Yeah. And I would have just signed up and gone for this on my own, but my income, I could have qualified for no property taxes this year. So I can't out of pocket this.
Do they have scholarships?
I'm not aware of that, no.
yeah, since it's a for-profit, that's probably less likely than an MML, you know, where they would, yeah. If you do up to 2, then I guess, I mean, you guys would have to decide who's going to go without like some sort of brawl, right, so.
For what that cost him to add that extra
Right.
cent.
I mean,
You mean up,
if you say up to 2, then,
right,
you know.
who they are, correct.
Okay.
Well, I think, first of all, you gotta determine
Well, I
who
think
wants to go and if they
maybe
possibly
we're
can
not
go, so. I would assume that Sean wouldn't go because of his work schedule, but he may. He's the only one that's not here to inform us of that, so. Okay, let's continue with this discussion. Do we have the parameters? Does anybody have any problem with the parameters of
What do you have?
registration, housing, but no mileage or food? The parameters that were suggested by Zach. That the people that would go, the 2 that would go, or 1 or 2 would go, would be that. Then after that, we would determine how many people, 1 or 2.
Why don't we handle that separately? Let's see if there's support to send
Okay,
anybody.
all right,
That's what the motion is
all right.
originally.
So just to send up to 2 people.
Send up to 2 people, all right? That was the motion, Mr. Jones, okay?
Knight? Yes. Fisher?
No.
Bell?
No.
Michelle's?
Yes.
Smith?
No.
Cousins?
Yes, 3-3.
Yeah.
Fails, okay? No further discussion either. All right, we're now on new business item number 6. Okay, I have a motion, please, on the issue of the resolution to adopt the Articles of Incorporation of Washington Regional Resource Management Authority.
I'll move that.
Okay, Julie?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll support.
all right. Discussion of that, it's on pages 225 to 244.
So this is just basically readopting something we've already adopted because of 2 just unbelievably minute changes. It's like they got rid of yard waste or added organics. I mean, it was extremely minor, but the county felt more comfortable with us readopting it so that it's the same version that has been adopted by the other units of government. So once we adopt this, and I think Ann Arbor Township was considering it last night, there should be enough that have adopted it to actually form the board and start meeting. So, yeah, so yeah, it's basically the same thing. The county just wanted us to redo it because of the minor change.
All right.
Ready?
We have a motion, right?
Yep.
Further discussion? All right. Ms. Jones, please call the roll.
Cousins?
Yes.
Knight? Yes. Bell?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Michelle's?
Yep.
Smith?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead, Jim.
Can we take 5?
Yeah. 5 minutes. I'll bang the gavel when it's time.
You're not on the, our section, right? So is this the first you've seen of this?
First I've seen it,
Yeah.
first I've seen it.
Yeah, there it is.
Since the
I was walking
chamber,
around, I still got those 400 steps left.
You got something to go, huh?
who's responsible?
Not that many, actually.
That's
That's
today's
still the
committee.
committee.
It's still a
They're a
Dexter Days
separate
committee.
entity. Well, they're a separate entity, and because they were always functioning under the chamber.
They are, but I don't think it affects them.
Doesn't affect them at all. Okay. They're,
They have their own money. their own-
right, I've heard rumors that they were wanting to separate, but I haven't seen anything at all that's been done for that, okay.
So would they become nonprofit then?
Well, they'd have to apply for it.
That was the main
Oh,
reason why
right.
they didn't
I see what you
separate,
mean.
because they
Right.
wanted
You
to
mean
go through all
because
that
of
Yeah.
their nonprofits?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what is legal and what.
Folks, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, nice to see
Thanks
you.
for staying.
Appreciate your support and your feedback. So I'll work with Courtney and Justin, and we'll get this rolled out and
Great.
keep them posted on it, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Any questions? I think you all know how to find me, so.
Show up at your house.
In the plumbing department of Hagen.
Right.
Yeah, the plumbing department, exactly. All right, have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Maybe catch Justin to see if I'll go and get the school.
Yeah, right. I'm
About an
surprised
hour
they're
and a
this
half.
long.
I know, their meetings.
I thought they
usually
would,
are.
just make the presentation and leave.
I think they're, these
Well-
things, they're at the end of the year.
The facility committee report was at the end.
And you know they would not move them up.
Right.
I agree,
Why would you
sometimes
do
I
that to
don't
us,
think they
right?
would do that.
The sculptures were interesting again. So, I like the balls though.
I like the balls.
We're trying to figure out, obviously the guy knows what he's doing, but we're trying to figure out, well, kids will want to climb on their
Right.
things. But
It's
maybe
actually
they're
gonna be
like
pretty
really
tall.
resilient. Well, we
Yeah.
might be really
I
resilient.
forget the material. But we've had good luck with not having, vandalism or people messing with
Yeah, well, there was
things.
a lot of worry about that stick
Yeah.
being broken too. And somebody else allowed us to new stick
Right.
in it, so.
Yeah, there were definitely some that were more,
We got a lot of
Like
stuff
others.
this year that looked like they belong in a gallery. And
Right,
not
indoor
as-
stuff.
as-
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
right.
yeah. We were talking about maybe making some changes to the application that were like, we're probably not gonna be using anything nude. And we're,
Right.
it's like just a reminder that this is going outside.
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
they have to say that, but if they do
Well,
it,
we got some paintings even
Right.
that I thought,
I
how's that
thought
gonna help?
one of them I read was just when we skid, and that was the one on the, that was on the Encore Theater.
Justin just brought that up because you guys did you
Icarus.
guys talk
We
about
just
the
talked
Icarus?
about it.
Yeah.
That was just a.
It was
phenomenal.
wonderful,
That
and-
was a spectacular.
Some,
I don't know.
They were just
maybe we
talking
should
about
get in
that.
touch with them.
yeah.
I think
Bring 'em back.
I still have his name, to be honest.
I'm
okay?
sure we do because we had it
You have.
That's what I
temporarily.
mean, it's probably in
You had to
some
contact
article.
him, yeah.
Yeah. No, that was funny, Justin.
All right, James made it within less than 5 minutes, so let's go on then to the next item, which is consideration of the 2019-20 Dexter Art Gardens temporary sculpture display installations. And you have an action requested there on page 246.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Donna. Second, Jim Smith. Discussion.
Well, I'm certainly not the expert on this, but Donna, I think you sat in on some of the meetings if people have questions, right? So, but basically this goes through, for Scott's benefit, it goes through a three-step process really with the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Committee reviews it, the Art Selection Committee reviews it, and then council makes the final decision on the pieces for our temporary display. I think they go up in June-ish, June, July.
I think he said June.
Yeah, so we'll change out the ones that we have. Sort of, this has been useful, we have purchased things from this display that we've loved, like the dragonflies. Still hoping to find a permanent piece for in front of La Fontaine, so maybe one day we'll find something we love for in front
There
of La
was some
Fontaine.
discussion about what was there last year, the thing made out of the cartridges and all.
Yeah.
And that people didn't say much about it. Now that it's gone, people would like to have that back.
Oh, really?
So there was some conversation about perhaps contacting that guy and seeing what that,
Yeah, we could do that.
because it's big enough to fill that space is what it
Need something
was.
big in that space, you're
It
right.
was automotive and it kind of fit.
It was, so we do have $5,000 in an escrow waiting to purchase something for in front of La Fontaine that came from La Fontaine.
Yes.
So if we ever did find something, we do have $5,000 towards it. That's still there, so. Anyway, that's a little off point, but, so yeah, these, the art selection committee and ACH basically made the same recommendations. I think there was art selection added a backup for La Fontaine, and, but all the main sculptures were the same recommendation. They did do backups just in case something falls through, which we've had happen. Yeah, so I think using the Chelsea, or using the Arts Alliance and this cafe has been working to get a good number of submissions.
A lot of selections.
Yeah, which
A lot of proposals.
I think that has worked really well for the partnership with the Arts Alliance.
Good. It's good to hear. Okay, further discussion? Ms. Jones?
Okay, Knight,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Cousins,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Michelle's.
Yes.
Okay, the last item we have is the consideration of the adoption of zoning ordinance amendment for medical marijuana home occupations.
Can I ask one question about the last item?
Yeah.
I know that the size of this packet was slightly extreme. So in the future, when we're doing like something like the temporary art display, I mean, would it have been enough just to see the photos of the other ones? Or did you,
Photos of the recommended ones.
do you want to still, I mean, I assume we'd need to at least put in the photos of the non-recommended, but maybe not the applications, or, I mean, I guess how much information on that do you?
Personally, I don't think I would need to even see the non-recommended.
Right.
Just the recommended.
I mean, those would be in the-
Recommended and the alternates, I think would be enough for me
For me
personally.
too.
Because you would have that in the ACH packet and our selection packet. They don't
As I
exist.
say, we could go and look at those,
Okay.
their packets.
Just curious for the
Right,
future,
no, I
because
think
I
that-
get that it was super long and I
Right.
didn't mean it to be, but it just happened that way.
And if I could also make another comment about, I did not need all the information about the lighting
Right.
and all that
we-
stuff too, okay? That was
Right.
just redundant to me, and I mean, I
We did
would,
that because we didn't select the lowest bidder, and I just wanted to show why.
I got
think
it.
it was fairly clear, but, okay, so, yeah.
I
know that
didn't
was-
need that personally, but
Okay.
people may have, but I didn't need it either at that
Okay.
moment.
No, I appreciate that, I'm just curious for
No, okay.
looking for
I
feedback for
would
the future.
think that you'd probably never find anything like that in another council package anywhere in the county or the state maybe. Anyway, the point is that I understood why you did it.
Okay.
So- all right,
Thanks, that helps
so we're back here.
for the future.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
Not yet.
Not yet. I need a motion, please.
I'll make the motion
Scott, Bill?
To approve.
to
I'll
approve.
second.
Second?
Smith.
Or Jim? Okay, sorry. I missed it. All right. Michelle, would you like to make a few comments? Short comments?
So this probably looks really familiar to you, and that's because you've already approved it once. My Achilles heel is getting the notice of adoption to the paper. It got prepared, and the best thing I can say is something came up and distracted me, and I thought that I had sent it. I talked to Justin when my first comment on the Wednesday that I thought it was supposed to be in the paper. I'm going through the paper. Justin, she didn't put it in the paper. Michelle, I can't find where you sent it to me. So,
Do you have to have another public hearing?
pardon me?
No.
No, you don't have to have another public hearing. I just need for you to re-adopt it so that I can get the public hearing notice that is done to the paper tomorrow.
Yeah, so that has to go in within 15 days of council action. When we do regular ordinances, there isn't that time, but for the zoning ordinance, for whatever reason, it's
Yes, it's a,
timed.
There's
And
a
that goes
time
by a
limit.
lot quicker than one might think, especially with the deadline for the paper being the week before. so.
yes.
All right, since we've got it one time, is anybody else have any comments that they need to make?
Okay.
All right. Ms. Jones, please call the roll.
Bell,
Yes.
Michelle's,
Yep.
Knight, yes. Cousins,
Yes,
Smith,
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
thank you. Council comments starting with Zach.
This will be the most disappointed I've ever left this room after a meeting. That's all.
Julie?
I have nothing, thank you.
Jim?
Nothing.
Tom?
Yeah, at Arts Cultural Heritage, I had taken a message from Zach, and he had said to us that it seemed to him that Arts Cultural Heritage is a little heavy on the A. And so I did say that to them, I don't know, a couple months ago. And the chair recently, at this last meeting, said I had given more thought to council comment about getting heavy on the art. And so there's a kind of a emphasis now to try to get into some of the other historical pieces of it. And so I just thought you might like to know that.
Thank you very much for that.
And that's a good kind of topic for our meeting on Monday with all the groups too, that, you know, people can throw those ideas out and talk about what that might look like, you know.
Well, they got a couple things that they think they can do that are not as labor intensive as plein air, but would meet the cultural piece of it and the heritage piece of it, so. Right, like some of the things that are gonna happen during plein air for the artists are visit to the train station, Gordon Hall, some local features, so. Anyway, that's all.
Mr. Bell.
No comments.
My comment, I want to thank the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Committee, because I know it's up, and also the Planning Commission for all the work they did on the CIP. It's a lot of work.
They did a
Thank you
great
for all
job.
that.
I really want to give kudos
Okay.
to Mike, because
You go, Michael.
took it on.
Take the information back, the thanks back to that group there. They do a lot of work, I know, so that's.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, well, non-British participation, anybody want to say anything?
I didn't get my chance.
Oh, sorry. I missed it.
I just wanted to, we talked a little
I
bit about,
apologize.
invite you to, a night at the museum, we were talking a little bit about it before. It's just, an opening, of the museum again this year to see what we're doing. If you haven't been there in a while, see our exhibits,
What's the new theme?
This year, they've done a lot of work on family Bibles that we've had in our collection at the museum. And you're going to get Nancy's genealogy on the families that we have. It's interesting how some of these families relate to the next families and stuff like that. And you'll see the books. So we actually have the Bible from Word Dexter, the whole Bible. That was from Mount Rapids, and what the family won, and some pictures of. There is a Judge Dexter Bible. It's out with the family in California, but we have some pictures of that.
Great.
Someday maybe we can get the whole Bible back.
Super. Okay. Yeah, that was show. All right. Motion for adjournment? Yeah.
Support.
Support? That wasn't a bad
Justin
time.
would text me.
We moved along pretty well, yeah.
Yeah, you did.
No,
I
they
would
haven't
have to
gotten
go.
there yet.
I
Maybe you
wonder,
can make it.
can you find out,
I texted him, but he hasn't answered.
responded back yet? I think I'll go, yeah, I'll head out, see what they, see how their reactions, I spoke to 3 counselors, 3 school board members.
If anybody wants a raffle ticket to win a trip to Hawaii,